viewers, you are welcome to today's presentation. Today I'll be doing a presentation of a dislocation known as social withdrawal. Dislocation is a societal problem that dislocates the individual from the sense of meaning, purpose, and value, driving them towards addictive behavior. Most people have different thoughts about why people withdraw or isolate themselves from their peers. Some scholars are of the view that this is caused by a social orientation or a biological factor. However, in today's presentation, we are going to emphasize on the causes and effects of this particular behavior in our senior high schools. Now let's come to the definition of social withdrawal. Social withdrawal refers to avoidance or socially restrained behavior that results from anxiety or fear evoked by the anticipation or presence of others in a social context. People withdraw themselves because they fear or they are anxious or they feel that they will be sidelined by their peers. Socially withdrawn people frequently refrain from social activities in the presence of their peers. To some researchers, the expression of social withdrawal represents the developmental outcome of particular temperamental disposition. Most often, we associate social withdrawal with shyness, isolation, rejection, passivity, and peer neglect. Sometimes we use them interchangeably and inconsistency in the definition. To some scholars, social withdrawal is linked to psychological maladaptation, and the behavioral expression is internalized in the thoughts and feelings of people. Now let's come to the difference between social withdrawal and isolation. Now from the picture above, the first picture, we can see that this particular lady has withdrawn herself from her peers, and that is social withdrawal. Withdrawing yourself from your peers, something that she usually enjoys doing. The second picture depicts this particular guy who is hiding in his room. He doesn't even want to see his parents, and that is isolation. He has isolated himself from his peers, from his family, and all those who are very close to him. Now we have various factors that influences social behavior, and one of these factors is social or general anxiety. Sometimes in our classrooms, some students or learners refuse to talk or ask questions in class because they feel nervous, because they are worried. Sometimes they feel inferior about themselves. Another point is parental factors. Some parents are sometimes overprotective and controlling, and so when in their absence, their children find it very difficult to mingle with others, to play with others, to enjoy themselves with others, because their parents are not around to control them. Biological factors cannot be left out. People who are introverts have the trait of naturally withdrawing themselves from people. Some disabled people also feel so nervous that they might not be accepted for who they are, and for this reason tend to withdraw themselves. And students who are addictive to drugs, homosexuality, lesbianism, and all sorts of bad behaviors feel ashamed to interact with their peers and fear that they may be sublimed, especially when they are aware that their peers are aware of these behaviors. Now let's come to the signs and symptoms of social withdrawal. These are signs that when you see, you know that you are gradually withdrawing yourself from people. The first one that we're talking about is racing heart. Whenever you see them, you see that your heart begins to beat faster. Excessive sweating. You begin to sweat in your palm, under your feet, everywhere you'll be sweating a lot. You also experience paleness, nervousness. It becomes very difficult for you also to do the things that you enjoy doing previously, and you also sometimes feel loneliness. Now, some of the effects of social withdrawal are anxiety. It may also lead to depression, sleep disturbance. Sometimes it becomes very difficult for you to sleep. It also becomes difficult for you to make friends. You may also be rejected by your peers since you have withdrawn yourself from them. It also leads to poor quality teacher people relationship and low self esteem. So now let's look at some interventions to manage the situation. Now students should reach out to their teachers, friends, and families gradually. In the beginning it will be very difficult, but as time goes on, gradually they'll get closer and closer to these people. Again, teachers should advise their students on the causes and effects of social withdrawal and help them to address the situation whenever they come into contact with it. Students should also participate in classroom discussion when they are learning. They should try as much as possible to say something, to participate in it. They should also engage themselves or participate in social gatherings and other activities of interest. Self-realization from inferiority complex can also help a lot to manage the situation. And students should always engage themselves in exercises and in sporting activities. So, in conclusion, my dear viewers, social withdrawal is not a different situation from social isolation, but instead, prolonged social withdrawal leads to isolation from others. The situation, however, can be treated among students when authorities and teachers take it upon themselves to advise them or educate them on the effects of this particular behavior. So, on this note, thank you, my dear viewers, for joining me in this presentation. See you some other time. Bye bye.